What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 10. As promised, we're going to move ahead with Sabin's scenario here. We're going to be in for the long haul with this one, guys. I'm thinking it's going to take 4 to 5 episodes just to move through with this particular section. I say that because Sabin has, like, 3 different dungeon-like areas you have to go through, and I acquire a lot of new party members, a lot of stuff happens, and quite frankly, that reminds me, I'm thinking that 15 minutes is long enough for me, guys, for these Final Fantasy VI episodes. So I apologize in advance if you feel like this is, a particular episode might be cutting off a little short, or perhaps it's ending in an awkward moment of the story. I don't know, man. Like, if I went through Doma, it would basically be like a 30-minute video. So in efforts to keep it around 15 minutes, I'm going to start cutting these off a little shorter than I had originally intended. So, we're at this little hut in the middle of nowhere. There's a wandering vendor riding a chocobo. He's fast, too. God, he's just like teleported off the screen. But yeah, that vendor's pretty important, and you saw Shadow by the well over there. He's also important, and as soon as we get done messing around in here, interacting with a few objects, talking to this demented old man, just for the hell of it, we will be talking to Shadow for a little bit. We're gonna acquire his unique and amazing talents into our party. Shadow is, as I mentioned, he's my favorite character by far, and there's a bunch of reasons for that, but one of the main reasons is that his dialogue is some of the best throughout the game. He doesn't really offer anything spectacular right now, but eventually he has some of the most chilling stuff in the entire game, and you'll see why, eventually. But he's freelance, man. He's gonna offer us his services, and we will gladly accept. But a really important part is to go back and zone into this old man's house, talk to him real quick, just so we can get this traveling vendor back. And for this particular moment, I sped up the gameplay to double time. I threw in some symphonic FF6 Shadow's theme. And what I'm doing here is just hooking Shadow up with some relics. I don't have a whole lot to offer at this current juncture, but that's all about to change. That's going to be changing very quickly. But I wanted to make sure they were both in the back row, especially Shadow, because Shadow throws stuff, man, and that's what he does. He hangs out in the back row, he throws shurikens and stuff of that nature, and he just kind of hangs out, man, being pesky. So here's that vendor I was talking about, and 99 shurikens goes a long way for this scenario, so I'm going to take full advantage of that. I picked up a couple plumed hats, a little bit of extra defense for Sabin, as well as Shadow, other potential characters that I might pick up. Made sure to grab a couple invis edges as well, some shadow edges. The invis edge is the important part for traveling to Doma and Doma itself. They are pretty nice to have around, as you'll soon find out. So this is also sped up. I wandered in the wrong direction. There's a bridge down here that looks identical, I swear, to the bridge that's right next to Doma. So yeah, I apologize for that. I have a couple unwanted encounters here, but it's a minor setback. Minor setback. Yeah, and here's that bridge that I was just talking about. Tell me that does not look exactly like the bridge we're about to run into at the Imperial camp. But let me go ahead and take this opportunity to discuss Shadow, glorious Shadow, and some of his amazing assets. There's a visual representation of one of them right there. 933 damage off of the counterattack. Interceptor his trusty and loyal companion, has a strong tendency of counterattacking if you happen to block or deflect an attack from an enemy using Shadow. Interceptor doing 933 damage, that's more than double what we're going to be able to do with anyone else right now, so that's pretty powerful stuff in itself. Although it is a little on the rare side for you to be able to deflect attacks like that and counter with Interceptor. Some of his other assets, I mentioned those shurikens. I picked up 99 of them, and I'm going to use every single one of them eventually. That's going to be his basic form of offense. But here's an Invis Edge right here. Highly effective against physical-based enemies. You just saw a basic fight attack miss on Shadow there. So being invisible is pretty much the nullification of physical attacks. You saw an incisor just get thrown at him, another base fight attack as well, both of which missed. You know, when you can get Shadow invisible like this and enemies continuously throw physical attacks at him, they're essentially nullified. So you're definitely going to see me use the Invis Edge on Shadow a good bit. If you go up against creatures that use magic, that invisibility is not useful whatsoever. So it's not like, you know, you're instantly invulnerable from everything whenever you use the Invis Edge, but it is very good against physical attacks. So what we have here is a little conversation from some grunts, Soldier A and Soldier B. The gist of the story is that the ranks of the Empire don't really favor Kefka. In fact, they downright despise the guy in a lot of cases. And that's understandable. Kefka, you know, whatever happened during his Magitech training or experimentation, whatever, it made him insane. And, you know, as a result, he's a completely evil guy now. He's lost grip on his humanity entirely. Not to mention he's a rude dude, so that does not help in making anyone else like him very much. However, they do like General Leo, the ranks of the Empire. They adore that guy. I'm not going to talk about Leo too much because he hasn't popped up just yet, but he's a very honorable man, and if you ever wanted an honorable opponent, I'd say that General Leo is the best candidate for that. However, let's go ahead and talk about Sian a little bit. My main man, Sian. This is our next party member, and we're about to meet him pretty shortly. This isn't Sian, right? This is this is obviously a leader of the Empire and some of the grunts throwing their bodies up against Doma's castle walls. Doesn't exactly seem like the best way to bring it down, but hey, you know, to each their own. Here is Sian, and Sian's drives and motives throughout the game are human and understandable. We're not going to get to those just yet. This episode will end before you start to get a full grasp on Sian and his drive for the rest of the game. I kind of go back to what I'm going to be doing with these episodes in terms of trying to keep them hovering between 10 and 15 minutes apiece. You know, sometimes they're going to end kind of awkwardly or in a bad moment, quite frankly, and I promise you this episode is going to end abruptly and not ideally, but it's okay because we're going to pick up exactly where we finish up here, so nothing's going to be missed. Absolutely nothing's going to be missed. I'm not cutting anything out of the game, most definitely. So what I'm going to do is just throw on some basic gear for Sian here. The Genji glove still has not seen any use yet. We're gonna make that change, though, eventually. I promise you, I'm gonna cheese the hell out of something with Genji glove at some point. But here we go, dude. Sian has got these sword tech abilities. Early on, they're pretty awesome. Later on, they're pretty awesome. Just Sian's a solid character overall. I'm going to stick with Dispatch for now. You have to let that meter fill up. And, you know, in order to execute some of his later attacks, that can be a disadvantage, frankly, and spamming Dispatch is all I need to do at this point. But this episode is about to end, guys, so we'll be picking up next time with Sabin and Shadow again, and we'll move through the Imperial camp. So, until then, really hope to see you guys on the next one.